My husband tricked me into moving house, then sneakily let his dream girl live in our villa. When we finally signed the divorce papers, his eyes were red from crying. Darling, I really was wrong. I patted him on the shoulder. Stand up and say it. It's just bankruptcy. That's all, darling. Can we remarry? Sorry, I've already married someone else. My husband bought me a sprawling 280 square meter flat. I was over the moon and posted about it on social media to show off our love. I was in the middle of replying to my friend's envious comments when my best mate called. Changqian, do you know Tengfei's dream girl is back in town? I saw your husband giving her the villa you two used to live in when I was running errands earlier. My excitement vanished in an instant, replaced by a cold chill. That villa had been our home for 3 whole years. I'd personally supervised every inch of the renovation, handpicked all the furniture, and even tended to the garden myself. There was no way Tengfei didn't know how much I loved that house. Yet he'd sweet-talked me into moving, claiming the new estate was in a school catchment area, perfect for our kids' future education. It turned out he just wanted to clear the space for his dream girl. I was so furious my teeth ached. As soon as I arrived at the villa, I spotted Tengfei's car parked in the courtyard. Instead of rushing in, I gave him a call first. The phone rang for ages before he picked up. Honey, are you at the villa too? What a coincidence. I'm here to fetch some things. Can you open the door for me? Just wait a minute, Tengfei replied, sounding flustered. I waited at the gate for half an hour before he finally opened the door. His handsome face still had that aloof charm I'd always been drawn to. I stepped forward, tugged his tie to pull him closer, and smiled. Why's your shirt collar all dirty? The smudge of foundation was obvious. I could tell his dream girl must have cried her makeup off. Just like my shattered heart right now, broken and in tatters. The dream girl could cry because she was a master of putting on a show. I wouldn't cry, because what I needed was the ability to handle this situation calmly and rationally. Tengfei grabbed my arm to stop me from walking inside. Miaoling ran into some trouble back home, so I sold her this house. Tell me what you're looking for, and I'll get it for you. Really? He couldn't even be bothered to come up with a decent cover story. Was he just laying his cards on the table like that? Sold? Who was he trying to fool? This house wasn't cheap. Could Lou Miaoling even afford it? Tengfei, let's get a divorce. I refuse to share my marriage with anyone else. I ran away. Tengfei chased after me. Then, he got hit by a car and thrown several meters away. Lou Miaoling, who'd been inside the villa, came rushing out and insisted on getting in the ambulance with us. In the ambulance, Tengfei dazedly reached out his hand. I was pressing down on his wound, but he grabbed Lou Miaoling's hand instead. He let out a scream of pain right away. I gave the paramedics an apologetic smile. Sorry, my hand slipped. Could I have some more gauze, please? Lou Miaoling was Tengfei's dream girl and also his childhood sweetheart. She was a big star at the opera house. She'd married the heir to a listed conglomerate in a whirlwind wedding before she even turned 25. Tengfei and I had been university classmates, but we were never on close terms, barely exchanging greetings when we passed each other. We reconnected years later when he'd gotten drunk after his crush on Lou Miaoling ended in heartbreak. He'd accidentally booked a shared ride, and we'd been matched together. He was so drunk he'd hugged me and cried his eyes out, so I'd had no choice but to take him home with me. After dating for 6 months, Tengfei had proposed to me, saying he wanted to build a home with me. Now, here he was, holding her hand. Even the doctor had handed the medical consent form to Lou Miaoling. Lou Miaoling gave me a shy smile. Shen Changqian, maybe you should sign this instead. Oh, how considerate of the home record to give the rightful wife a chance. I signed my name with a smile, then asked Lou Miaoling, may I ask what capacity you plan to stay here in, Miss Lou? What a shame. Polygamy's illegal in New China. Otherwise, I'd be happy to let you take care of Tengfei full-time. Lou Miaoling left with red eyes, but she came back the very next day. The second Tengfei regained consciousness, Lou Miaoling rushed to his side, fussing over him non-stop. I stood quietly to the side, recording everything on my phone. Tengfei, are you okay? It's all my fault. If you hadn't tried to look out for me, none of this would have happened to you too. Maybe I should just leave. Tengfei cried out anxiously. No, you can't leave. If you go back, your husband will just beat you again. Changqian's such a kind woman, she'll definitely understand. I just couldn't bear to see you hurt. I'll explain everything to Changqian. I promise. I laughed out loud right there. It was utterly ridiculous. I'd been standing right beside him this whole time. Had Tengfei completely forgotten I existed? And now he was handing me a good person card? Did he think I was dead? I don't understand. Tengfei, let me make this crystal clear to your face. I don't understand any of this. Not one bit. You have no right to make decisions for me, and you certainly had no right to sell our marital home without even asking me first. I rolled my eyes and kept filming him without the slightest hesitation. All of this footage would be solid evidence for our divorce lawsuit. I had to save it carefully. And unlike last time, when he'd been hospitalized with a stomach ulcer and I'd fussed over him day and night, I wouldn't show him an ounce of care now. He was dirty now, like a piece of chocolate that had stepped in dog poop. Even if you couldn't see the mess on the surface, you still couldn't bring yourself to take a bite. Tengfei finally noticed me. He also finally realized that I, his once obedient, full-time housewife, was capable of losing my temper. Chongqian, don't be angry. I just couldn't bear to see Miaoling homeless. I thought you were such a kind person. You'd definitely agree. Excuse me. I laughed sharply, stepping closer to him and staring at him with icy eyes. Tengfei, that house was my home for 3 years. I poured my heart and soul into it. It wasn't some tool for you to play the hero with. Lou Miaoling is a first-class national dancer. If she's in trouble, she can turn to her dance troupe. She can go to the Women's Federation. She can hire a lawyer or call the police. The last person she should have turned to is you, a married man. All right. I think I've said enough to make my point. For your information, I'm still recording this. Our relationship will be over once the divorce cooling-off period is up. It won't get in the way of your exciting second marriage, your new partner's high expectations, or your long-awaited reunion with your first love. Goodbye. My words were sharp and cutting. As soon as I left the hospital, I headed straight for my best friend's house and downed drink after drink. After I told her everything, she patted me on the shoulder and said, I know Miaoling is supposed to have it tough. Rumor has it her husband is going to kick her out without a penny to her name. But I did some digging, and it turns out she already owned 3 houses before she got married. There's no way she was actually homeless. I know. Tengfei was the one who threw himself at her. That's what makes it even more disgusting. I'm dying to get this divorce over with. I thought I'd married the love of my life, but in the end, even true love can't compete with a blast from the past. I'd quit my job just to make sure Tengfei ate well every day, cooking him 3 homemade meals a day without fail. If he couldn't come home for dinner, I'd deliver his food to his office personally. Every year, when his parents' birthdays rolled around, I'd take care of all the preparations and arrangements by myself. Tengfei just had to show up and put in an appearance. I'd truly believed that Tengfei had moved on from his childhood crush and chosen me wholeheartedly. But now, Lou Miaoling hadn't even slept with him, and he'd already given her our marital home. A single flick of her fingers, a few crocodile tears, and it was worth more than all the years of hard work I'd put in. You're just going to let her get away with this? Are you really going to give up that easily? I'll go teach her a lesson for you. My best friend Duda grabbed my arm, ready to march back to the hospital with me. I shook my head. No need. Right now, all I want is a clean, quick divorce. But Tengfei was not only delusional, he also seemed to think everyone else in the world was as lovesick as he was. He tracked me down, grabbed my hand, and looked at me with the most sincere expression on his face. Chongqian, your uncle's conglomerate has a partnership with Miaoling's husband's company. Her husband's been hounding her and refusing to let her divorce him. Can you ask your family to help her out? I stared at him coldly, wondering if he'd had brain surgery for Lou Miaoling and accidentally left his common sense behind in the operating room. Today, we're here to talk about the divorce settlement and the division of our marital assets. Nothing more. Nothing less. Even though what Tengfei had done had hurt me deeply and disgusted me to my core, I still wanted to end things with dignity. He was welcome to wallow in his own mess. I had no desire to stay and get dirty with him. A clean break was all I wanted. But I never thought he'd have the audacity to try and drag me down with him too. Marriage is about weal and woe, but this was taking it way too far. Can we talk about the divorce later? After we've made sure Miaoling's safe? Chongqian, you've always been such a kind person. When you found me drunk all those years ago, you didn't hesitate to help me. How can you bear to see Miaoling being beaten and suffering like this? Tengfei's face was filled with self-righteous indignation. I nodded, just as earnestly. Of course I can bear it. If you had a live stream of her getting beaten up right now, I'd happily watch it sitting down, standing up, lying down, whatever. I don't mind. For a woman who ran to my husband for comfort as soon as she was in trouble and moved into my marital home without a second thought. Why on earth wouldn't I want to watch her get her comeuppance? Wasting my sympathy on a homewrecker? That would make me the one who needed to get my head checked. I patted Tengfei on the shoulder and pulled out the divorce papers. Sign this, and I'll file the application right away. We still have the cooling off period to get through, after all. I'd hate for Miaoling's baby to be born before we can finalize the divorce. Wouldn't he wanted to miss out on getting a birth certificate? Now would we? Nothing happened between me and Miaoling, Chongqian. Can't you stop being so paranoid? Tengfei jumped up in a panic, reaching out to hug me. I stepped back immediately, rejecting him outright. Nothing happened, huh? Let me ask you this, did she lean on your shoulder and cry? Did you wipe her tears for her? Did you two stay in that house together at night? And don't tell me you didn't tuck her into bed. Tengfei froze, his eyes wide with shock, like he thought I'd hidden a camera in the house or something. But I hadn't done anything of the sort. I'd simply recited all the romantic scenarios he'd written about in his diary when he was a teenager, scenarios he'd dreamed of doing with his dream girl. He'd never done any of those things with me, but he'd done all of them with Lou Miaoling. Tengfei mumbled to himself for a long time before finally mustering up the courage to speak. If I sign this, will you help Miaoling then? I let out a cold laugh. Tengfei, you're truly a saint. Throwing away his own marriage just to help Lou Miaoling get a divorce. Was my love for him really that worthless to him? I didn't have the energy to argue with him anymore. It was just a waste of time. I nodded. Fine. As soon as you sign, I'll talk to my uncle. Tengfei picked up the pen and slowly scrawled his name on the paper. I took the signed papers and filed the divorce application immediately. Then I went home and visited my uncle, but I didn't mention the divorce. All I told him was that Lou Miaoling had gone to Tengfei for help. My uncle's face instantly turned stone cold. He took my bottle of Wangzai milk away from me and said sternly, "What do you two kids think you're doing? Getting involved in her mess? Delete her contact information right now and don't you dare talk to her again." I tilted my head, staring at my uncle in confusion. Not many people know about this. Since you're in the dark, I'll level with you. That Lou Miaoling, she went gambling in Macau and lost 300 million yuan. Holy shit. The perfect dream girl was a gambling addict. No wonder her wealthy husband wanted nothing to do with her anymore. I'd been keeping a cool head ever since I'd found out about Tengfei's affair, but this revelation made me see red. I jumped up from my seat in a rage. That's our joint marital property he gave her. Losing my love and my marriage was one thing. But if Tengfei had given all that money to Lou Miaoling, I swear, I would have killed him on the spot. I called the accountant at Tengfei's company. Even though I hadn't worked at the company these past few years, I'd grown up watching my family manage their investment funds. I was far from clueless when it came to money matters. I didn't care if I never got to spend that money, and I was willing to wait for Tengfei to earn it back slowly. But as his wife, I had every right to know exactly how much money we had. I called the accountant, a nice lady I'd gotten on good terms with by gifting her a couple of expensive handbags, and asked her two simple questions. How much money had been transferred out of the company recently, and how much was left in the accounts right now? The accountant pulled up the records quickly and said worriedly, "Chongqian, haven't those transfers been enough already? There's barely any money left in the company accounts as it is. It's complicated. Just tell me the total amount that's been transferred out first, please." About 8 million yuan. All of it was transferred out by the boss himself. My head throbbed with pain when I heard that number. 8 million yuan wasn't exactly my entire life savings, but the fact that Tengfei had given Lou Miaoling so much money and still had the nerve to call it helping a friend in need made me lose all respect for him. Truly, the logic of a lovesick fool was unbeatable. If he'd just admitted he was using that money to keep a mistress, I would have at least respected him for being honest. But by calling it charity, he'd basically thrown that money down the drain. There was no way we'd ever get it back. If there are any more transfer requests in the future, you have to call me first. No exceptions. After hanging up the phone, I dug through my blocked contacts list and found the number I was looking for, then dialed it. The phone rang only once before it was picked up. "Hello? Wang Ting, it's me, Shen Chongqian. I want to talk to you about your soon-to-be ex-wife and her little affair with my soon-to-be ex-husband. Give me a moment." Wang Ting sounded like he was in a meeting. I heard him tell everyone to continue the discussion and ask his secretary to take notes. Then there was the sound of footsteps, and a moment later, he spoke again, his voice much clearer. Technically, she's my soon-to-be ex-wife too. Did you unblock me just to talk about her? This is the first time you've contacted me since that blind date all those years ago. My anger was instantly replaced by embarrassment and frustration at Yang Ting's deep, teasing tone. That was years ago. Do you really have to bring it up again now? It's not like it matters anymore. Yang Ting had been my very first blind date. But as soon as we'd sat down, he'd said he wanted to marry me, and that had scared me half to death. Then he'd pulled out his medical checkup reports, IQ test results, and even his genetic analysis data. I'd made my excuses and left right then and there. When I got home, I'd had a huge argument with my parents and forbidden them from ever setting me up on another blind date again. I'd never thought that years later, I'd end up catching my husband cheating with Yang Ting's wife. So we're not talking about old times, we're talking about new business then? Yang Ting's voice turned cold again. I've already filed for divorce from Lou Miaoling. She has nothing to do with me anymore. The fact that she's been squandering your joint marital property, I truly feel sorry for you. That's it? I was speechless at his nonchalant attitude. Yang Ting fell silent for a moment before replying. Getting worked up is bad for your liver. You should drink more hot water. I got it now. I really got it. I should have known better than to expect a straight-laced workaholic like him to understand my hints. Yang Ting, I want to propose a collaboration, one that will protect both our interests. I cut to the chase. Can we help each other out? I'll help you get rid of all those messy debts she's racked up, and you help me play the bad guy and take down my ex-husband. Trust me, you'll get a much better deal out of this than I will. I knew perfectly well that he'd already started divorce proceedings with Lou Miaoling. A wealthy family like the Weongs would definitely have made her sign a prenuptial agreement before the wedding, which meant that if this plan worked, he'd be the one who benefited the most, not me. I was just about to start listing all the benefits this collaboration would bring to his company when Yang Ting suddenly spoke up. Actually, I'll help you. On one condition: you marry me. If his tone hadn't been so dead serious, I would have thought he was joking. Had this guy been rehearsing this line all these years? I'm still married, I said, surprised, but then I realized this could actually be a perfect opportunity. Having my husband's mistress's own husband help me get my divorce? The look on Tengfei's face when he found out. It would be priceless. It would definitely make me feel a whole lot better. I'll handle that part, fine. But we're not talking about marriage until my divorce is finalized. Right now, tell me exactly how you're going to help me. I'd snapped out of my own lovesick daze and was thinking clearly for the first time in a long while. Nothing mattered more than looking out for myself. This divorce was going to be quick, clean, and I was going to come out of it completely unscathed. Yang Ting's tone was back to his usual business-like self. Let's meet in person and discuss the details. When I finally met Yang Ting face to face, I realized he hadn't changed one bit. He was still devastatingly handsome, but as soon as he opened his mouth, I wanted to lose my temper all over again. As soon as your divorce is finalized, we'll get married. Here are my latest medical reports. Asset statements, take a look. Let's focus on getting my divorce sorted first. Then we can talk about anything else. I made sure my tone was firm and sincere. But Yang Ting refused to budge an inch. Last time we went on that blind date, you said you'd think about it and then you blocked me. You even asked your parents to tell me we weren't a good match. Yang Ting leaned forward, adopting a negotiation stance as he slid a pre-drafted marriage contract across the table towards me. I cursed silently in my head. The man was far too cunning. How had he known I'd planned to use him and then ditch him once the divorce was over? I'm dead serious about marrying you this time. Once you're divorced, your family will definitely start pressuring you to remarry right away. They'll set you up with more blind dates just like before. After what happened with Tengfei, do you really think your family will trust your judgment when it comes to choosing a husband again? Yang Ting tapped the marriage contract on the table, pushing it a little closer to me. Take a look at it. It's all laid out clearly. A marriage contract in the business world was just a mathematical equation, one that divided up money and shares neatly. I couldn't help but feel that Yang Ting had come here more to mock me than to actually collaborate with me. Annoyed, I picked up the contract and my eyes widened in shock as I read through it. You want to transfer all your assets into my name? Is your company going bankrupt tomorrow or something? Do I look like someone who's desperate to be a debt collector? Yang Ting took a deep breath, looking like he was trying to remain patient. Shen Chongqian, I'm giving you my entire life savings. You've always said I'm too calculating, too scheming. This is my way of proving how serious I am about marrying you. I waited 3 years for you to graduate university before I asked you out that first time. But you turned me down and married Tengfei instead. I, in turn, married Lou Miaoling because my family pressured me into it. Now we both know we should never have listened to our families or trusted our own choices when it came to love. If you marry me, I can promise you 3 things. I genuinely love you. I will never cheat on you. And you can spend my money however you want. That's all I have to offer. So will you marry me? I can spend your money however I want. I was completely stunned by Wang Ting's confession. Wait, he'd waited for me to graduate university? The only time I'd ever met Wang Ting before that blind date was at my 15th birthday party. He'd been invited by my family to be my dance partner for the night. I hadn't seen him since then. That's right. Wang Ting looked like he had a headache as he rubbed his temples. So what do you say? Will you marry me? I'll give you my answer once my divorce is finalized. I bit my lip, barely managing to resist the urge to nod my head and say yes right then and there. By the time Tengfei came crawling back to me, my tone had turned surprisingly agreeable. I made the call. He turned me down flat. Said now that he knows about your little affair, he's not going to let Lou Miaoling off the hook. Shen Chongqian, what the hell did you say to Wang Ting? Don't you dare believe a word of the garbage he is spouting about Miaoling. He is no man at all. The second she ran into trouble, he dumped her and started beating her black and blue. Tengfei roared into the phone, practically foaming at the mouth with rage. I glanced at the screen and hummed noncommittally. If Wang Ting really wasn't a man, then even better. No need to share a bed with him. And I still get to take over all his assets. What could be better than that? It was like inheriting a man's fortune while he was still breathing. Honestly, Tengfei's ridiculous antics were basically doing all the work to score points for Wang Ting. By the way, how's that project my cousin hooked you up with coming along? Back in the day, my family had handed Tengfei plenty of lucrative projects just for my sake. It's going great. Your cousin's project's gotten bigger and bigger, Tengfei mumbled, his voice trailing off awkwardly. The bigger the project, the more money it needed to keep it afloat. I thought about how Tengfei had already drained the company's bank accounts dry, and a smile tugged at my lips. Well, you'd better keep up the good work. You can't afford to drop the ball on this one, otherwise the company will have worked its fingers to the bone all year for nothing. I encouraged him, just like I used to. But unlike before, when I'd jump in to offer money the second I heard the slightest hint of trouble in his voice, this time I kept my mouth shut. Wait a second. Tengfei finally caved, desperation creeping into his tone. Chongqian, didn't you say your fixed deposit was about to mature soon? The company needs more investment right now. Would you be able to help out? Help out with what exactly? I laughed. Had Tengfei finally realized he'd emptied the company coffers? I mean, if you have the cash on hand, I think we could really take my cousin's project to the next level. I don't want to give up on it so easily. Could you transfer me some money? Just for now. Had this man always been this delusional? Did he seriously forget we were getting a divorce? Asking me for money? What a pipe dream. I hung up the phone without a second thought, then opened WeChat and fired off a message to him. Sorry. Another call came in and I accidentally hung up on you. Has the company really used up every last penny? Because I distinctly remember you telling me just 2 months ago that you wanted to transfer 2 million yuan to me. Phone call recordings weren't admissible as evidence anymore after all. WeChat chat logs, on the other hand? Now those were the real trump cards in my hand. I don't have any money left either. Should I go home and ask my parents to lend you some? How much do you need? Tengfei's chat box had been showing typing non-stop, but the second he read my message about asking my parents for money, he replied instantly. No, it's fine. I'll figure something out on my own. Men really were all the same, so desperate to save face. I called Wang Ting, rolling my eyes as I complained. Quit sending me bird's nest soup and shark fin, will you? No one courts a woman with that stuff these days. I stared at the 7 or 8 fancy gift boxes that had just been delivered to my door, utterly speechless. When he was younger, this man had been such a straightforward, no-nonsense guy. Did all awkward straight men suddenly start going all in on health tonics when they got older and tried to woo someone? Sending me ginseng essence that was supposed to boost vitality and prolong life was a little over the top, if you ask me. Then what do you like? He asked, his voice steady as always. What I'd really love is for you to take over Tengfei's company. He is completely out of cash for his project now. If he can't get any money from me, he'll have no choice but to go begging for it elsewhere. And with Lou Miaoling leeching off him left and right, even if Tengfei had mountains of gold and silver, it still wouldn't be enough to keep his fair lady happy. On one hand, the company was bleeding money. On the other, He had his precious soulmate to take care of. And his wife? She wasn't going to bail him out anymore to let him play the big shot. Gu Tengfei would definitely be scrambling to find investors. I used to feel sorry for him and his stupid pride. Now I was going to skin him alive. You want me to inject capital into Gu Tengfei's company? Wang Ting asked, sounding genuinely confused. I let out a chuckle. No, I'll provide the capital. What I want is for you to buy the company in your name. That company had been my baby to Gu Tengfei, and I had stayed up countless nights planning it from scratch. He'd reaped all the rewards, so why the hell should I waste my time and money helping him chase his idiotic, lovesick dreams? When a man gets dirty, you throw him away. When money gets dirty, you just clean it up and it's still good as new. I can start a brand new company for you instead. Any size you want, name it. And it's yours. Wang Ting said without a moment's hesitation. I sighed. So this was what it was like to be on the receiving end of a rich man's simple, unadorned possessiveness. It was exactly why I'd never wanted to marry into a wealthy family. Before, because when you had that much money, you really could do whatever the hell you wanted. Wang Ting, can you stop being so crass? Every time we talk, you just offered to buy me a company. Do you want to work me to death? I want to take back what's rightfully mine with my own two hands. Do you understand that? I don't, he said, sounding completely unapologetic. Fine, then I'll put it this way. I want this company, and I want it now. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now do you get it? I decided to cut the crap and lay it all on the line. Are you going to give it to me or not? Wang Ting fell silent on the other end of the line for several long minutes before he finally spoke. I can't say no to you. A week later, I got a tip-off from my cousin. Gu Tengfei had landed a brand new project, and he'd poured every last resource he had into it. Between the new project and the fact that I'd cut him off financially, he was working himself to the bone. Lou Miaoling couldn't bleed him dry anymore, so she turned her attention to me instead, sending me a series of cringeworthy apology texts. I'm so sorry, Shen Chongqian. I had no idea that my spending time with Gu Tengfei would make you so angry. I thought that as a fellow woman, you'd understand where I was coming from. Shen Chongqian, Gu Tengfei has been so kind to me, and I was just trying to repay the favor by taking care of him in the hospital. Please don't he let me come between you and him. Won't you please go visit him? Gu Tengfei talks about you all the time when we're together. Don't you feel sorry for him? Seeing those bruises on his body, my heart aches for all the burdens he's carrying. I snorted out loud. She was parading around as his soulmate, spending my hard-earned money, and now she had the nerve to send me these sickly sweet, passive-aggressive texts. Seeing those bruises on his body, that meant Gu Tengfei had taken his clothes off in front of her. As a fellow woman, all I wanted was for Lou Miaoling to get the hell away from me, and I didn't feel an ounce of sympathy for her. So on the very day I was eligible to collect my divorce certificate, I sent Lou Miaoling a text message. If you're so eager to talk, let's talk. Hilton Hotel, PM. I hit send, then settled down at home with a nourishing tonic soup my mom had made for me. My mom watched me grinning at my phone and shook her head, amused. What's gotten into you lately? You've been chugging all these tonics until your cheeks are as red as a boiled crab. I reached up to touch my face, taking a bite of the huge New Zealand apple Wang Ting had sent over, and grinned back. I'm just trying to take better care of myself, that's all. And hey, I'm still young. Who knows? If I keep this up, I might just be able to have a baby someday. All these years married to Gu Tengfei, he'd always put off having kids, saying we should wait until the company was more stable. Now that we were getting divorced, I could have a baby whenever the hell I wanted. Having a baby would be wonderful. My mom nodded enthusiastically. Gu Tengfei called the other day and said you've been arguing a lot lately. You chose him without hesitation all those years ago. You should try to work things out and have a good life together. I heard his company's doing really well now too. You should keep a closer eye on things. Dear, don't just sit at home waiting for him like you used to. If a woman loses her say in the company, she'll slowly lose her say at home too. In the past, I would have rolled my eyes and thought she was rambling on, but this time, I leaned over and planted a big kiss on my mom's cheek. Don't worry, Mom, I'll make sure I always hold all the cards. I had no intention of keeping Gu Tengfei around. Of course, but I figured it was better not to tell her about the divorce just yet. I was terrified that if she found out about Lou Miaoling, she'd grab a kitchen knife and go hunt Gu Tengfei down. When I showed up at the company, Gu Tengfei was running around like a headless chicken. Boss, we have to transfer the payment for this file today, And this one, Gu Tengfei, did you forget that today's the day we go to get our divorce certificate? I leaned against the office doorframe, my voice cold as ice. Gu Tengfei froze mid-step. His secretary, bless her quick thinking, immediately turned on her heel and scurried out of the room. Divorce certificate? What divorce certificate? He stared at me, his face a priceless mix of shock and confusion. I smiled sweetly. Ours. We can finally pick it up today, honey. Come on, we agreed we'd take some time to cool off, remember? Gu Tengfei rushed over, reaching out to pull me into his office. I stepped back sharply, dodging his hand. Gu Tengfei watched me, my smile never fading as I refused to close the door, and for the first time, it seemed like he finally realized just how serious this was. He'd thought my month-long absence was just a temper tantrum, so much so that he hadn't even bothered to call me once. I let out a dry laugh. Let's go. Now. Gu Tengfei panicked. Honey, I swear Miaoling and I are completely innocent. I only let her stay in the house because I was trying to help her out. Do you have any idea how her ex-husband treated her? If I'd been in his shoes, he'd be dead meat. You used to be such a kind, compassionate person. Why can't you find it in your heart to feel even a little sorry for Miaoling? He stared at me, his face etched with confusion and disappointment. The way he said it, like I was the one being unreasonable for not feeling sorry for his mistress. Because I don't feel sorry for her. Is that reason enough for you? Let's get a divorce. Go take care of her full time for all I care. I tapped my phone screen, giving him a pointed reminder. They start processing divorce papers at 9 o'clock. Let's go. I'm not divorcing you, Gu Tengfei said flatly, turning on his heel and dropping into his office chair. I should have known lovesick fools like him were impossible to reason with. Unless you'd been through the same hell and finally woken up, like I had, you'd never snap out of it. Otherwise, all you'd ever want was to have your cake and eat it too. Then I guess I'll have to use my family's shares to get my cousin to cancel your project. The company's poured every last penny into this project, hasn't it? If my cousin pulls the plug, he'll only have to pay a breach of contract fee. You, on the other hand, you'll pay a steep price. The company will go bankrupt faster than you can blink. And then, you won't be able to help Lou Miaoling at all. I stood there with my hands on my hips, pulling out a stack of documents with a calm, elegant smile. Gu Tengfei glanced down at the papers, his eyes widening when he saw that I was listed as the legal representative of the brand new project the company had just taken on. His face went through a whole range of emotions: shock, disbelief, shame, and finally, pure unadulterated rage. Why are you bleeding the company dry? Have you really become so desperate for a divorce that you'll stoop to this? Gu Tengfei shouted, jumping to his feet. Oh no, no. No, you've got it all wrong, I said, grinning like the cat who'd caught the canary. This project is completely legal. The one who drained the company's funds dry is you. You want to help Lou Miaoling so badly? Go right ahead. The company? It's mine now. Gu Tengfei flew into a blind rage, grabbing whatever was within reach and throwing it across the room in a fit of fury. He glared at me, his eyes bloodshot, and I half expected him to take a swing at me. But he didn't. Instead, he insisted that I was wrong, that I'd completely misunderstood Lou Miaoling, and that someday I'd regret it and realize I'd been the one in the wrong all along. I shrugged. If you're broke, you won't be able to help Lou Miaoling anymore. I hope you two can weather the storm together. Gu Tengfei's face turned purple with rage. You see the worst in everyone, don't you, Shen Chongqian? Are you really threatening me with my own career? You're being so unreasonable. I am out there busting my ass to keep this company afloat while you sit at home playing the doting housewife. Do you have any idea how hard I work? How exhausted I am? Even Miaoling understands how tough it is to run a business, and here you are, using my life's work against me. Fine, divorce then. Divorce me. But mark my words, this is all your fault. You're the one who destroyed our marriage. I'd left the door open on purpose to make a fool of him. Sometimes you just had to cut through the crap with a sharp knife. Pissing him off was the fastest way to get him to sign the divorce papers. The divorce proceedings were wrapped up in no time. I stared at the little green certificate in my hand, a satisfied smile spreading across my face. You'll regret this, Gu Tengfei spat, his voice trembling with anger. And when you do, I hope you don't come crawling back to me begging for forgiveness. I laughed out loud. Don't you worry, I promise I'll never get down on my knees and beg you for anything. She won't have a chance to regret it, a deep, familiar voice said from behind me. Wei Yangting had somehow appeared out of nowhere, standing right outside the Civil Affairs Bureau, waiting for me. No sooner had he finished speaking than the trunk of his Maybach popped open, revealing hundreds upon hundreds of blue roses, exuding an unmistakable aura of old money. Wow, those are real blue roses! A young girl nearby gasped, her eyes wide with awe. He's such a sugar daddy. I'd love to be friends with him. I wish someone would celebrate my single status like this when I get divorced. I watched as couples all around us stared at us with a mix of envy and fascination. The sheer absurdity and melodrama of the situation made me want to die of embarrassment, I swear. I could have dug a 3-bedroom apartment into the ground with my toes. Gu Tengfei's eyes darted back and forth between Wei Yangting and me, his face turning a sickly shade of green. Wei Yangting walked over to me, handing me a thermos flask with a gentle smile. Freshly stewed bird's nest soup. Eat up, it'll do you good. Shen Chongqian. You cheating bitch. Gu Tengfei screamed, lunging at me in a blind rage. But Wei Yangting's bodyguard stepped forward in an instant, holding him back. Watching him thrash around like a wild animal, completely unhinged, sent a wave of satisfaction washing over me. All the pain and heartache he'd put me through, now it was his turn to taste it. Are you ready? I asked Wei Yangting, turning to him with a smile. Wei Yangting nodded, taking a tablet from his secretary and handing it to me. I tapped the screen to turn on the camera, and what I saw made me grin from ear to ear. The hotel suite we'd booked was pure chaos. Gu Tengfei was still screaming his head off beside me, so I held the tablet out to him. I would have loved to project this little show onto a giant screen in the town square, but that would have been a little too much, so I settled for the next best thing. Letting out a theatrical sigh of disappointment, I pressed the tablet into Gu Tengfei's hands, forcing him to look at the live feed from the hotel room. Take a good look, I said coldly. Let him use those eyes so clouded by his own stupidity to see exactly what kind of woman he'd been willing to ruin his life for. Gu Tengfei stared at me, his face twisted with rage until he finally looked down at the screen. His eyes widened in horror as he saw his precious, innocent, helpless dream girl surrounded by 4 or 5 men in the hotel room. I'm going to take Miaoling away from all of this, I swear I will, one man was shouting. Bullshit! Miaoling's been texting me non-stop. We promised we'd get married as soon as she got divorced. Another yelled, shoving him. Miaoling, I already transferred 30 million yuan to you. You promised me you'd come home with me to meet my parents. A third man screamed, his voice cracking with desperation. On the screen, Lou Miaoling stood in the middle of the room, the men shouting and shoving each other around her. Finally, they all turned on her, their patience snapping. Miaoling, did you really string me along just to steal my money? Say something. I sold my dad's house just to come here for you. How could you do this to me? How many other men are there? Gu Tengfei stared at the screen, his mouth hanging open in shock, like he'd just seen a ghost. What is this? Miaoling. She told me I was the only one she could trust, that she'd come to me as soon as she was in trouble. I walked over to him, patting him on the shoulder with a mock sympathetic smile. How much money did Lou Miaoling take from you? A few million? Tsk. Compared to these poor souls, you actually got off easy. So tell me now that you're divorced and broke, what exactly do you think you have to offer her? How are you going to compete with all these men? Wei Yangting stepped forward, adding the final nail in Gu Tengfei's coffin. Lou Miaoling has had a gambling addiction for years. I found out about it right after we got married, that's why I filed for divorce immediately. Out of all the men she's conned over the years, you're actually the one who lost the least money. Lucky for you. You were never that rich to begin with, I chimed in, my voice dripping with sarcasm. Compared to the other men Lou Miaoling had scammed, Gu Tengfei had been nothing more than a tiny little fish. The look of utter devastation on Gu Tengfei's face was priceless. The bodyguards let him go, and he collapsed to the ground, staring at the screen as Lou Miaoling burst into tears and ran out of the hotel room, chased by the angry man. You might want to wait around, Wei Yangting said to Gu Tengfei, a faint smirk playing on his lips. Lou Miaoling will be here any minute now. If you two are so eager to be together, you can get married right away, no need to waste any time. I glanced at Wei Yangting, who looked like the cat who'd caught not one, but 2 canaries. It was clear he was thoroughly enjoying watching Gu Tengfei's world fall apart, and he was practically salivating at the thought of Gu Tengfei marrying Lou Miaoling. Looking at Gu Tengfei sitting there on the ground like a broken man, I felt nothing but pity. He'd given up everything, his marriage, his company, his savings to pay off his dream girl's gambling debts, only to find out that he'd never been anything more than a pawn in her game. Let's go, I said to Wei Yangting, turning away from the wreckage of Gu Tengfei's life without a second glance. Honey, wait! Chongqian, Don't go. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Gu Tengfei scrambled to his feet, lunging at me again, but Wang Ting stepped in front of me, blocking his path. Just then, Lou Miaoling was dragged over by Wang Ting's bodyguards. The second she saw Wang Ting, she burst into tears, throwing herself at his feet. Ah, Ting! Oh, Ting! I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I promise I'll never gamble again. I'll never step foot outside the house. Please forgive me. Please don't leave me. Lou Miaoling didn't even spare a glance at Gu Tengfei, who she knocked to the ground in her desperation. She clung to Wang Ting's legs, sobbing uncontrollably. Domestic violence? Abuse? Wang Ting said, his voice cold and sharp as he kicked her away from him. The bodyguards immediately grabbed her and pulled her back. Are you asking to be served with a lawsuit for defamation? No. Ah, Ting, you never hit me. It was all lies. All of it. Lou Miaoling wailed, her eyes darting around in panic. It was only then that she finally noticed me standing beside Wang Ting. Her face paled with fear. She glanced to the side and saw Gu Tengfei standing there, his face ashen with rage and betrayal. And behind her, the men from the hotel room were being led over by the bodyguards as well, all of them glaring at her with murderous intent. They'd heard every word she'd said to Wang Ting, and I swear, I almost pulled a bag of melon seeds out of my purse to enjoy the show. Alas, Wang Ting didn't give me the chance. I've been divorced from her for a long time now. If any of you want to be her next victim, by all means, be my guest. As for me, he paused, wrapping an arm around my waist and pulling me close, a soft smile on his lips. I'm getting remarried. With that, he led me to the car, leaving Gu Tengfei and Lou Miaoling to face the consequences of their actions. Wang Ting and I got married soon after. True to his word, he transferred all of his assets into my name. My parents were so disappointed in Gu Tengfei that they didn't even bat an eye at my quick remarriage. If anything, they were thrilled for me. After that, I heard that Gu Tengfei's company went bankrupt, and he fled the country to avoid his debts. As for Lou Miaoling, rumor had it she'd become a high-end escort, scamming men left and right to pay off her gambling debts. And me? I threw myself into running my new company, determined to carve out my own path in the business world as President Shan. I'd never again be that silly, lovesick girl who'd given up everything for a man who didn't deserve it. From now on, I'd be the one holding all the cards.